800-312-9970. Coast One Tax Group, protecting your bank, home, and your sleep since 2008. With hundreds of 5-star reviews and an A+ on the Better Business Bureau. Call Coast One Tax Group, 800-312-9970. Stanley from New York owed $93,000. The IRS placed a levy on his bank account. Coast One released the levy and settled with the IRS for $2,000. Mark in Michigan owed $225,000. After Coast One stepped in, Mark walked away paying less than $1,500. Call Coast One now. A 10-minute call can save you up to 93% on your back taxes. Get your fresh start today. That's 800-312-9970.
It is time for the Northern Michigan Scoreboard Show, and we are brought to you by Sarah Ford of Kalkaska and Gaylord. Start your stress-free car shopping experience at Sarah Ford Kalkaska or sarahfordgaylord.com. Rich Calkins and Jerry Coyne in studio with you again this year. JC, welcome back. And
happy football.
That's right. Happy football. We're going to be here all through football season, through high school basketball season as well. So, but like you said, football season got kicked off. And let me tell you, our first guest on the show is Josh Sellers from Traverse City St. Francis. And Josh, in opening weekend, a lot of these teams have had trouble scoring. Coach, that was not the issue with you guys last night as you put up 67 points.
Well, good morning, guys. Thanks for having me on, and glad to hear your voices again. That means it's football season.
That's right.
So we, it was the longest first quarter in the history of football, I think. I was told after the game it was a 55-minute first quarter.
Wow.
Because both teams scored quite a bunch of points. So we had 60 points by halftime, which was way beyond my expectations, and we were able to get a lot of people. We got everyone who was dressed on the sideline into the game last night, which was fantastic.
Yeah, Coach, what worked so well for you guys in the first game? I know you practice, you hope your team's going to execute, but you really don't know until you're playing against live opposition, and then obviously everything worked to a T.
So the first 9 days of practice to start the season, we were kind of up and down, mostly down with our execution in practice, and then we went into our scrimmage against Cadillac and Traverse City Central and performed pretty well. Getting ready for Charlevoix, again, I would say our practice weeks were not great. Our sessions weren't awesome. And then the kids come out and execute really, really well. And I guess the way that I would describe our team this year through one game, which is just one game, is that they're kind of gamers. They're not practice kids so much, but they execute when it matters most.
And, Coach, that's important to you, knowing your program for as many years as I've followed it. You scrimmage teams that are bigger enrollment, bigger size than you, and presumably kids that are bigger and maybe possibly more physical. And so it gets your kids ready for things during the regular season.
And that is purpose. You're correct. That is purposeful. And our kids just kind of expect that on an annual basis. And I think it does help us early in the season especially, and that kind of got proven last night a little bit.
Coach, it looks like your special teams really set up all the success that you had in that first half.
Yes and no. And yes,
okay.
In that we had a punt return for a touchdown in that first quarter, which was fantastic. You always want to see that. But then our kickoff coverage team gave up a long kick return, 90-some-yard kick return. So we have plenty to work on next week, that's for sure, as we get ready for our next game.
Yeah, no doubt. And as you mentioned, Coach, that next game is against a historically rich program of Lawton, and they really took it to Benton Harbor 56-0. So a team that put up similar points to what you guys did last night.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to see that film just yet. We haven't exchanged, but we know we're going to have our hands full with Lawton for sure this next Saturday.
It sounds like we'll be taking the over.
Yeah.
Coach, talk a little bit about your team. Last year, the year before, obviously a fantastic football team. goes all the way to the state finals. You know, traditionally when that happens, you're graduating a lot of kids, and you did. A lot of people were kind of licking their chops over your team last year because of your reputation, but you managed to play some pretty good football. I guess that served this team very well at how competitive they were and young at the same time.
And you just hit the nail on the head right there, that we played a lot of juniors last year, and we took our lumps last year. And hopefully that experience is going to pay off for us this year. We moved some kids to some different positions based on our needs, from some skilled kids to the line offensively, and just kind of playing around with who's going to fit best with what we need to do this year. And at least last night, things worked out really, really well. You know, time will tell what this team's gonna do, but pretty good start last night, and like we talked about after the game, that's a good first win. It's now in the past, and we're gonna enjoy the win, but we got to focus on moving forward and improving.
Yeah, Coach, what are your numbers like this year?
They are as good as they've been in the history of the program. I think we're about 35 strong.
Wow.
And that's just, initially it was just juniors and seniors. We have a left tackle who's a sophomore call-up who will stick with us throughout the year. And we don't have numbers like that on our varsity very often. So we're very blessed to have those numbers this year, and I think that played a big factor last night. Charlevoix's low on numbers, and I think we just kind of wore them down with the heat and just the pace of the game, and that worked to our favor.
Yeah, and Coach, I mean, you guys being a Division VII team, Coach, I mean, I know there's some Division I schools that would possibly like to have the numbers that you guys have.
Yeah, and
Let's not
so
get crazy. Not Division I.
Yeah, right.
Division
so,
One, Rich, you got 70 kids.
Well, on the really good programs, yes, but
I'm sure Lawton has got a few more kids than you're going to see than you saw against Charlevoix.
I would imagine so.
Yeah.
Right? That's a really again, recently a very successful program.
Yeah.
And so we're very blessed to have the numbers that we have.
Coach, I know your son Cam had an outstanding game yesterday. What's it like to coach your son? You've been doing it for a long time, but this is the first time you've really had your son on the team and being an important part. Do you find it difficult, or is it easy for you to just have him as another player?
So I played for my dad.
Right. Yeah. We know that.
yeah.
Yep.
But in a different capacity. I wasn't a skill guy. I was an offensive guard. But that relationship was always very special to both of us. For Cam to have the night that he had last night is something that, in the heat of the moment, you're kind of your arm's length. You don't have a father-son relationship. It's a player-coach relationship.
Right.
But then after the game, we can kind of decompress, and we can share those feelings, and it's I think it's something that's we're gonna make lifetime memories out of this for sure. And I know his mom is super proud of him as well, and she's asked that same question of me last night after the game, and I try to explain to her it's not father-son at that point, and she's kind of like, how can it not be? But so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and also, Josh, you got to thank Mom also for giving Cam all the athletic ability as well.
Well, I'm going to brag on him for a second since you brought him up. And yes, absolutely. It's all. Whenever people ask me where does Cam get his abilities, it's always Mom.
Right.
That's for sure. And so Cam set the school 100-meter record this spring.
Wow.
He took it from 11 flat to 10.81.
Wow.
And so we're super proud of him for that, and we're looking for great things this next
And you said
spring
that's
as
the
well.
100-meter, right?
100-meter.
Yeah, wow. That's, not 100 yards. That's 100 meters.
I understand now.
Yeah,
we now understand
something.
why you have him on the punt return team.
Yeah.
Punt return, he runs our outside zone scheme stuff because he's really fast, yeah.
Well, you can't teach speed, can't coach speed, so that's good. You can't take any credit for that. Other than Cam, who else are you depending on? It seems like from the story that we read, he's playing both ways. I'm sure you've got a couple kids that are really the bedrock of the team.
So Harrison Shepard's a 3-year starter for us. He's our safety and a running back. Eli Bigger, who saw limited time last night, he's a 3-year kid as well. Tyler Endress, who we lost him as a sophomore quarterback last year against Lawton, but he's matured physically, and he's going to be a big part of what we're doing. We just have, again, going back to our numbers, we have the luxury of having guys who don't have to go both ways all the time. Right. And so we're going to take advantage of that as much as we can.
And, Josh, you brought up one of those last names that are very familiar with Traverse City St. Francis, and that's Bigger. The Bigger kids have been coming through the program for years.
Absolutely, yeah. And Eli's he is a workhorse. He is a man of very few words, but he sets the tone by example, and he's going to have a great year for us for sure.
Isn't his dad a coach as well?
He is. His dad now currently is our athletic director. So he's in administration, but he's a football coach and a baseball coach by trade.
Yeah, I know Aaron. He's a good man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you got Lawton. Give us a rundown on your schedule this year, Coach.
Sure. Yep. So we're road warriors this year. We have 4 home games.
Yay.
The first 2 are home, and then the 2 of the last 7 are on the road, including week 3. We go to Berrien Springs, which is, for those who don't know, is about 15 minutes north of South Bend, Indiana.
Right. Yeah. Right on the border.
Yeah.
Yep. And then we go to Sheboygan, week 6, followed by a trip to Jackson to play Lumen Christi, week 7.
Wow.
We have Kingsley at home for homecoming. I don't know who scheduled Kingsley for homecoming.
Yeah.
Shame on them.
Aaron Biggers did that, Coach.
And then we wrap up with Benzie and Boyne City with Grayling in there as well as part of our
piece of cake.
Yeah. No big deal, right?
No. 9-0, no problem.
Yeah.
Well,
now, Coach,
we're gonna.
Go, yeah, is this your last year in the Northern Michigan Football Conference, Coach?
Well, so again, a lot of off-season questions.
Right.
Lake Michigan Conference has dissolved now.
Okay.
So our non-football teams are conferenceless, but we still have the Northern Michigan Football League. Okay. And unless you're telling me something right now.
No. I just wanted to make sure, Coach, because I'm looking on the computer, and it says you're still in that Legends division. And like you, I'd heard a lot of scuttlebutt in the off season about possibly you guys becoming independent or whatnot. But I wanted to go right to the horse's mouth there, so I appreciate that.
As far as I know, we'll be back for the near future for sure.
Okay, good.
We might need to get Aaron on the program.
Well, we did, and that's good. Good to have a home, Coach, because again, when you're trying to when you become an independent, you know what it's like, Coach, trying to find games, and you're driving all over the state of Michigan. It's good to have a home.
It is. We get four games out of that, plus a couple crossovers. Actually, we got Charlevoix's a crossover, Benzie's a crossover. Boyne is now in our division newly this year, so it's definitely a plus, especially for that athletic office.
Yeah. I ran into Coach Dan McClain this week, Coach, and I asked him if he was coming back up here to play you guys again, and he said, "Not anytime soon if I don't have to."
Well, that was a fun experience to be able to play those guys and they're in that independent boat themselves, right?
Yes, they are. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he's got a crazy schedule, but they should be pretty good this year, according to him. But Berrien Springs, that's a road trip there.
Yeah.
It is. We got it. We go to our coaches clinic in Lansing every January, and there's a whiteboard for games wanted. I put us up there. They put their week 3 up there. I called them, and after a couple of back and forth conversations, they said, "Sure, if you guys will come to us, it's a 1-year deal. But hopefully in the future, if we need a game, they'll come up here sometime." But it's a good Division 5 program, great facilities. It's just a long ways away from Traverse City.
Well, as long as you're down there, you might as well get on the bus and take the kids and view the campus at Notre Dame, because not all of them get the chance to see that. And at being a Catholic school, you know what a special – it doesn't matter if it's game day or not, how beautiful Notre Dame is.
Absolutely, and we've got Max Bulla, an alumni who's now the linebackers coach down there at Notre Dame, so that's a plus too.
Oh, nice. Yep.
Yeah.
And, of course, Josh Burnham from TC Central going to play a vital role this year.
Yep.
And, he's doing really well.
And then I heard through the grapevine there's some kind of Hard Knocks type of show on Peacock with Notre Dame. So for all you
that wouldn't
Irish
surprise
fans out there,
me.
you can check
Right.
it out.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, with the success of Hard Knocks and all, they have people, college schools adopted the same thing.
We'll see how the Irish do tonight against Texas A&M. Should be a good game.
Yes.
But, Coach, you couldn't have started out a better way, and congratulations. One last question for you. When you win a game this convincingly, is there a little thought in the back of the coaching staff's mind that maybe the kids get a little full of themselves?
Well, we're going to work, as a coaching staff, we're going to work really hard to make sure that thought goes away quickly if it's in the back of their minds. Because, again, our schedule doesn't get any easier going forward. So I told the kids last night, enjoy this win, but understand when we come back on Monday, and we do come back Monday at 8 a.m., it doesn't matter if it's Labor Day or not, that we are laser focused on the Blue Devils of Lawton.
Yeah.
All right, well, best of luck against Lawton and the rest of your schedule. We will certainly see you down the road here on the Sarah High School Scoreboard Show.
Always appreciate the time, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, best of luck next week, Josh.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. All right, yeah, JC, again, like I mentioned, a lot of these teams have had trouble scoring.
There's no doubt. I mean, you take a look at 7-2 games and everything. I even across the board, like the college games, I took the unders in a lot of football games.
Yeah, because defense dominates week one typically.
Depending on what kind of offense you're running, especially.
Yeah.
Michigan will probably move the football today or tonight because that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're running, some complicated schemes, and you saw how discombobulated Michigan State's offense was yesterday.
Sure was.
It's a new coaching staff, new players, everything else, and there's just not a ton of time to get everything together.
Right. The offenses are timing, and there's so much to it that maybe a play would have opened up in a split second more if they held that block just a touch more. But again, there's so much rhythm and other things that go into being off. It's just not physical domination like defense.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of coaches are just going to rely on that defense.
Yep.
Be conservative on offense. Try not to make any turnovers. And I saw that in a few places. Lots of turnovers. Michigan State, 2 turnovers, 12 penalties. Right. Just exactly what we were talking about. Some of the foibles that Gaylord had in the game on Thursday.
Yeah, no question about it. So coaches are working on all that stuff, and they're hoping by week 2 a lot of that stuff is coached out of them, and so they're ready to roll because you can't have double-digit penalties and expect to win ball games.
No, not at all.
It's going to be costly. Okay, when we come back, we'll talk to another coach here. You're listening to the Northern Michigan Scoreboard Show, presented by the Sarah Ford Auto Group of Kalkaska and Gaylord.
Have you stopped by Sarah Automotive in Gaylord or Kalkaska lately? If not, you're missing out on the lowest lease payments of the year on many of your favorite Ford vehicles. And at Sarah, Gaylord, and Kalkaska, besides a great selection of new Fords, you'll find pre-owned inventory stocked with certified Fords and a wide array of trucks and SUVs in every price range. Visit Sarah Gaylord and Sarah Kalkaska for sales, service, parts, or just a friendly conversation. They'll be delighted to help you. They guarantee it.
Do you know a Northern Michigan woman positively impacting our community? The Traverse City Record Eagle has open nominations for our 4th annual Influential Women of Northern Michigan publication. We'll celebrate women making a positive impact, as well as rising stars creating positive change. And we'll include feature profiles of nominees. Submit your nominee now for a chance to be honored as an influential woman of Northern Michigan. Now through September 4th at record-eagle.com/NMI Women.
It's Yacht Round to float your boat. Saturday, October 5th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, the Little River Band. Special guest, the Atlanta Rhythm Section. Tickets as low as $35 and are on sale now at the Soaring Eagle box office and etix.com. Smooth Sailing, October 5th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort, the Little River Band at Atlanta Rhythm Section, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
It's time to save all that homegrown goodness with canning supplies from McLean's Ace Hardware. You can enjoy your garden's bounty throughout the year when you preserve your fruits, vegetables, and meats. At McLean's Ace Hardware, you'll find jars, lids, and sealants, pressure and traditional canners, utensils, even savory spices and pickling additives. With everything in stock, McLean's is your fall canning headquarters. Get in, get out, get on with your canning at McLean's Ace Hardware in Grayling.
Welcome back to the Northern Michigan Scoreboard Show presented by the Sarah Ford Auto Group of Kalkaska and Gaylord. Rich Calkins, Jerry Coyne in studio with you. And joining us now is the head coach of the Gladwin Flying G's, Mark Jarsfer. Coach, you guys got off to a great start there with a big 44-16 win over Flint Carmen Ainsworth.
Yeah, that was an excellent win to have, obviously. Anytime you can start the season 1-0, that's obviously a good thing. Plenty of stuff to work on with the early season jitters and mistakes and those types of things, but certainly feels good heading into week 2, 1-0.
Yeah, Coach, that obviously that was a home game, and you continue your home streak next week against Beaverton. But what's the team looking like? Again, you're a couple years removed now from that state championship, and I know things are still sky high there in Gladwin because of that. But what are your numbers like in the program? What kind of team is it looking like you have this year?
Yeah, we have good numbers in the program at the varsity level. We're right around 35, and the JV we're right around 30. And of course, some of those numbers are double counted with that fifth quarter rule. A few of the guys bouncing back and forth to play a few quarters in each game. This year's team is kind of interesting because we lost all 5 of our starting linemen from last year, and so replacing all of those guys up front was going to be a challenge. And so we spent a heavy focus this summer on just working on the very basic techniques of what we think make us kind of good or go, I guess. And so really we were as basic almost as I've ever been over a summer and into the first week of practice. We literally took like 5 plays and spent the entire time just working on those. And the guys, I think, were pretty tired of it, even by like maybe our 3rd camp day of the summer. But I'm like, hey, we still got 12 more to go. And so, we did that. And like I said, continued that right into practice. And then week 2 of practice is when we started to implement some of those other things. And I think, in our scrimmage, we really saw that pay off. It didn't really matter what kind of front we went against. All of our guys were technically sound. They knew the rules. They understood their assignments. And then, more of the same into week 1. And so now as the season goes, we can expand and do some different things. But that was always going to be the biggest challenge for this year is losing 5 linemen.
Wow.
Of course, we bring back a lot of skill guys. Trace Corlew kind of starts our offense and defense. He's the last remaining starter from that state championship team. So,
familiar name.
Yeah, he's just as explosive as anybody. And so we have him, our starting quarterback from last year, starting running back, and then some other, pieces that have filled in role player roles before.
Coach, we just you're echoing exactly what Rich and I were talking about in the first segment, is being basic, relying on your defense, trying not to make any mistakes, because we've seen a lot of games already, both in high school and in college, where teams making lots of mistakes, lots of penalties, pretty sloppy play in a lot of instances. Scoring was way down. So obviously a smart move to really focus on the basic stuff, do that well, and then you have a good foundation.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's pretty much what we talked to our team about. Obviously I said that they were tired of repping the same basic stuff, but I told them, listen, what wins these early season games is holding on to the football and avoiding penalties. And so, if you're able to do those, it may sound like coach speak, but if you're able to do those, you're going to give yourself a chance to be successful. I mean, most times unless something crazy happens. The turnover battle, kind of decides the outcome of the game or plays a major factor in it.
Yeah, you're right. It's coach speak for a reason because it's factual.
Right.
Yeah, that's probably accurate.
Yeah.
Exactly. Hey, Coach, I want to kind of go back a little bit to the line there because all the skill guys, they get all the attention, all the love, newspaper articles, people talking about their catches, their rushing yards, or things like that. But, Coach, we know it's the guys down in the trenches that ultimately they're the ones doing all that dirty work, but they just don't get the love that the skill guys do.
Yeah, that's absolutely true as well. And so we also tell our guys all the time, you absolutely win games, every game, because of what you're able to do up front. And so if you're not able to either kind of, give your quarterback room to operate in a pocket or create running lanes for your backs, then you're not going to be successful offensively. And if you can't stop the run and rush the passer with a defensive line, you're not going to be successful defensively. And so, we put a lot of pressure on those guys. And of course, everybody that I talked to all summer that wanted to do preseason articles and stuff, I squarely put all the pressure on them. But, they've handled it, and I think they've met the challenge. And so far, we're off to a good start. So as long as we can stay healthy and keep those guys rolling, we should be in for another good season.
Coach, talk about your schedule this year.
Yeah, it's certainly different and certainly very tough. Flint Cameron Ainsworth was a Division II school for us.
Yeah.
Which was, it may be, one of the first or only times that the Jack Pine School has played a Saginaw Valley League school. Their enrollment is, I think, 1,200, somewhere in there, right around 500. And so, we figured that'd be quite a challenge, but we did want to, in the world of, playoff points that we're in now, look for a little bit bigger school to try to balance out playing Beaverton week 2, because, I think this year they're either D7 or D8. And so there's a pretty substantial playoff point difference between those.
Yes.
And, when you're fighting for everything you can in playoff points, you got to start to look at those things. So it creates some pretty unique matchups across the state. But, that's fun. I love playing new teams. And so Beaverton week 2, 90-year-old rivalry. We're playing for Butch, the little stuffed dog on wheels. Currently owned by Beaverton because we also play for him in basketball. And Roy Johnson in his last home game, winningest coach in state of Michigan history, they were able to get him back from us, and so now he's over there. We got to play for him. And then, we get into our regular league schedule, which has, of course, changed quite a bit, too.
Yes.
With the Jack Pine adding in Ogama Heights, Standish Sterling, and Bullet Creek, and creating 2 separate divisions.
Right.
What they call it. Division 1 is going to be the bigger schools. And so, then our conference schedule opens up probably with the toughest 3-game stretch that we've had in the regular season since I've been in Gladwin. And that's Ogama Heights, Clare, and then Standish Sterling back to back to back. And then from there we play Shepherd and then Bullet Creek. And then it's the week 8 crossover, which would be you'll just pair it right down the sides of Division 1 and Division 2. So first place will play first place for the JPC title from
cool.
2 sides, and then second versus second, third versus third.
That's a good idea. I like that.
Yeah, that is, yeah. So, Coach, are they going to do that every year now? Leave that week 8 open for you guys to play for the division crown?
Yeah, so I hope that we get to play in that every year for the division crown. That would be excellent. But, that's the plan as of now. Because when you look at it, it makes sense from, a playoff point standpoint as well, which I discussed is a big factor in a lot of scheduling these days. Because when you get 1 versus 1, even though Division 1 is playing a smaller school, if the Division 1 beats the Division 2, that Division 2 has a lot of wins under their belt, and so that would obviously be bonus points towards that playoff qualifier.
Sure.
And then if the Division 2 team were to beat the Division 1 school, then of course they would get a large amount of points for beating a larger school, plus all of those bonus points. So it makes a lot of sense from that standpoint. And then the second part of it is, there's a lot of tradition in the Jack Pine, and a lot of those schools have been in that league for a long time, like the Harrisons and teams like that. And so now that we don't get to play them on a yearly basis, I think it makes sense to every once in a while get a crossover game with them to kind of bring back some of those old rivalries and traditions and those sorts of things.
Right. Yeah, and Coach, that's really cool. We've seen it for years done in basketball. Two different divisions within the same conference will battle for, the conference championship, but I had not seen it in football. So I think that's really a great idea.
Yeah, for sure. And then our schedule rounds out with Frankenmuth.
Frankenmuth, yes.
We got
Imagine that. How the heck did that happen?
So that was it turned out to be one of those kind of crazy stories. Phil Martin and I got together probably about week 8 of the 2022 season, and just kind of, obviously they're one of the best programs in the state of Michigan. As far as consistency and success and all of those things, it feels like they're always, playing in a semifinal game or a final game every year. And then we were kind of like on the up and coming, and we felt pretty good about where our program was. And I was like, let's do it. Yeah, let's challenge ourselves here. And then you fast forward 5 or 6 weeks or whatever it was, and we're playing each other at Ford Field.
Right.
And so then it looked like brilliant for us. Last year of week 9, we get a rematch of the title game. I didn't feel as brilliant when they held us to about 30 yards of offense last year, but we're hoping for a little better showing this year.
Right. Well, Coach, I thought really, because the game is down there, I thought it was just because you like their chicken.
Yeah. Maybe, maybe if we're able to pull out the victory, then I can go celebrate.
Justify,
with the chicken. But, if it goes like last year, we'll be trying to get out of town as quickly as possible.
Well, that's a good speech.
Yeah,
just before you send them out on the field.
I know it'd motivate me, Coach.
Yeah. Mashed potatoes and chicken. Yeah, okay, we're going to hit them hard, Coach.
Yeah, I do remember, when we were playing them in the state championship game before we left. It was obviously like a spirit week and a fun week of activities. But kids were carrying around like buckets, just empty buckets of like KFC chicken, and trying to say that Frankenmuth chicken isn't that superior. I think that was a lot of just trying to speak things into existence because they do have some great chicken down there.
Yeah, they do.
Well, we'll get a Popeyes built down there in Gladwin for you, Coach.
Yeah, I'll show them.
Thanks for joining us. Sounds like, obviously it's great to start the season with a win, a very challenging schedule. So, you got to take them when you can get them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, Coach, best of luck against Beaverton at home again next week, and we'll get a hold of you as the season progresses here.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me on, guys.
All right, thanks. Mark Jarsfer of the Gladwin Flying G's. Once again, JC, off to a great start. Mark's been a friend of the show for years now.
Well, he kind of glossed us as their good luck charm.
Yeah,
he
did.
When a couple years ago when they won the state championship, and they caught our attention right at the very end of our listening area on Q100.
Yes.
And he's just a great guy.
He is.
And obviously a very good football coach.
Yeah, does a great job. Like you said, tough task of totally replacing the whole offensive line, but it sounds like he really worked those guys hard. And Gladwin, another one of those farming communities where they have a lot of big kids there traditionally.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say it because I made the mistake last year saying that about Ogama, but last year they weren't as big, but they're still just as tough.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the interesting things. I know we're jumping out of high school for just a second, but Notre Dame is in the same spot.
Mm-hmm.
They're playing, they have no experience on their offensive line. You're talking about guys, the whole offensive line has played 5 games total.
Wow.
And one of the kids has never played.
That's tough. When you're
he's
replacing
taking Joe Alt's
Joe
place.
Alt, I was going to say, when you're replacing a top 10 pick, I mean, that's those are big shoes to fill.
Yeah, so, kudos to them. And this is another program, like Kingsley and something else that runs the same thing, same program in the middle schools and everything else.
Right.
So the kids get used to what their assignments are going to be at a very early age.
That's right.
Yeah.
So a lot of the mistakes that are made up on that junior varsity and varsity level are already worked out down at the 7th and 8th grade level. So like you said, technically they're like almost, it's to see an offense ran that they run all the way through from youth to the varsity program, you notice it's a huge difference.
Yeah. Rich, I didn't get a chance to do this yesterday during Friday Face-Up, but I did want to mention that my basketball coach, Bill Norton, passed away on Friday, last Friday, and we had his funeral on Tuesday. And Coach Norton was 21 years at Brother Rice, 454 victories, a state championship, a runner-up with us.
Yeah.
A member of the Michigan High School Coaches Hall of Fame.
Yep.
And just a tremendously important figure in my life and a lot of guys' lives. There was 64 of our former players at the funeral.
Wow.
And, we lined the aisle when we brought the coach's casket down. And then, there were so many great stories told at the luncheon after the Mass, and it's really weird and important. I don't know what the word is, to be a member of that club.
Yeah,
because
it's huge.
Every one of us has the exact same experience. Whether they're players, there was guys there that are 10 years older than me. When Coach first started coaching basketball. He was the first basketball coach and athletic director at Brother Rice.
Oh wow.
Because it opened in 1965.
Okay.
As a freshman class only, and they built the classes up like that. So you got guys from there. I told the story very quickly about when we lost the state championship in 1977 to Magic Johnson's Lansing Everett team. The only people in the locker room besides the coaching staff and the players were 9 of the 13 guys from the state championship team.
Is that right?
Yeah.
They came back.
They were back in, and that's the only ones we let in the locker room, and there was a lot of crying, and they were. And, it's just – and then you talk to kids that, played for Coach 10 years later.
Right.
And everybody has the exact same experience. And then we had, Coach had a very distinctive speaking style.
Right.
Jesus Christ, Coin, get off the floor. And then we had a Coach Norton. Everybody was doing their
imitations,
which he hated. There was a couple of stories where Coach would catch guys imitating him.
Oh, really?
Oh,
he
yeah.
did not like it.
It was not good.
He did not see it as a flattery thing, but really, this is the highest form of flattery, right?
You had it in your ears all these times. So I just wanted to
But it goes to show you the importance of what roles coaches play in our lives.
Yeah.
I've got stories like that with my coaches too. It's just like it helps lead you later in life and still use the examples that they used in myself in raising my kids and the coaching that I've done at the youth level and things. It just it's so important.
Yeah, Joe Coyne has that experience with Kevin O'Connell.
That's right.
So, it's true. And not everybody always gets that. My son Nick's basketball coach at Seaholm was really not me and a couple of dads, tried to get him ousted, and he was just not a great person, and same thing with Joe's experience with the head coach at K College, and I've heard that from a lot of people.
Okay.
So I don't understand why some of these guys stay in their positions.
Right.
So maybe it's not always the same.
Right, yeah, that's true. Very true.
No, I mean, the coaching that I had at Western Michigan was, was pretty substandard. We would have been better. Steve Fisher was a grad assistant. A much better coach than
what? Yeah. No, you're right. Not everyone has that experience. Fortunately for us, we did.
Yeah.
And that's the hope when you go into a sport, that you have those kinds of experiences.
Yeah. You see it all the time, but. Yeah, it's just bittersweet. He led a great life, influenced as many people as he humanly could, and there you go.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, thanks for sharing that, JC. Yeah, when we come back, we will have the aforementioned Kevin O'Connell from Gaylord St. Mary's. You're listening to the Northern Michigan Scoreboard Show, brought to us this year by Sarah Ford Auto Group of Kalkaska and Gaylord.
Have you stopped by Sarah Automotive in Gaylord or Kalkaska lately? If not, you're missing out on the lowest lease payments of the year on many of your favorite Ford vehicles. And at Sarah Gaylord and Kalkaska, besides a great selection of new Fords, you'll find pre-owned inventory stocked with certified Fords and a wide array of trucks and SUVs in every price range. Visit Sarah Gaylord and Sarah Kalkaska for sales, service, parts, or just a friendly conversation. They'll be delighted to help you. They guarantee it.
Configuring the Bluetooth, deciding who controls the music, remembering where you parked. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with an auto owner's insurance independent agent, getting the right coverage for your vehicle doesn't have to be one of them. So you can get back to more important things, like remembering if you're on the third or fourth level of the parking garage. That's simple human sense.
Visit Cornell Insurance in Grayling at 201 Huron Street next to Burger King or online at cornellinsurance.com.
We all have a special place where the vibe is just right. For my friends and I at St. Ambrose Cellars, just down the road in Beulah. St. Ambrose feels like a private paradise. Great local music every night, house-made beer, wine, cider, and mead, along with the tempting taste from the kitchen. It's just the coolest hang. You might stay for hours, even get into the disc golf. There's nothing quite like St. Ambrose Cellars. Check them out at stambrose-mead-wine.com. Once you go, you'll know.
There are a lot of things out there going viral. Dance challenges, health hacks, pet videos. But you can help keep your immune system from going viral and help protect it from the COVID-19 virus by getting the vaccine. The world has enough going viral these days. Talk to your healthcare provider about getting the COVID-19 vaccine. Sponsored by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
Welcome back to the Northern Michigan Scoreboard Show, brought to us by the Sarah Ford Auto Group of Kalkaska and Gaylord. Joining us now, head coach of the Gaylord St. Mary's Snowbirds, Kevin O'Connell. Coach, you took the long road trip up to Rudyard, you crossed over the mighty Mackinac Bridge, and you came home with an 8-0 victory, Kevin. That's a huge road win to start the season.
It's a huge road win, and it's a huge win for the program because obviously we didn't. We had a lot of spots to fill.
Yeah.
On both sides of the ball. So to start week one against a quality opponent, well, I mean, let's not kid ourselves. I mean, they knocked the crap out of us last year. They came to our field and they had some folks. Some of their folks are gone and have since graduated, but. What didn't leave Rudyard is just the level of physicality. They're very technically sound, very well coached. So when you start the year against a very tough physical opponent, to gauge where you're at is huge for us. And it was that for 48 minutes. It was a very, very physical game. We certainly have a lot to work on both sides of the ball, but I'd much rather start a game or start the season against a very tough physical team as opposed to one that you probably should win kind of thing.
Well, Coach, Rich and I have been talking about this for the all show long. Lots of low scoring in the first week of the season as your teams are getting acclimated to the system that you're going to run. You just said you had to replace a lot of guys. Obviously, your defense came up strong.
Yeah, I can attribute that to a lot of stuff that we've done in the off season. The addition of Coach Corson back on the staff has been just outstanding. He brings a level of, for lack of terms, just a level of juice that's just off the charts, and getting the kids to play at the next level and flip the switch. But what we've also done is just gone back to basics. Not worry so much about scheme. Because when the ball is snapped, the reality is the 3-tech doesn't care what kind of motion there is. Is it orbit motion? Is it jet motion? He's got to live in that box. And is he covered or uncovered? And he lives in that box. And for years, I kind of probably made things more difficult and made things worried about scheme. So we just kind of went back to basics and said,
by position group, this is your focus. This is what you need to do. Are you going to get a pull? Are you going to get a hi-hat? You're going to get a bass, a combo team, and that's where you need to live. So whatever motion or backfield action happens behind that really doesn't matter. So we really kind of changed our focus to be very individual development, and it's really paid off on that side of the ball.
Yeah, Coach, and especially in 8-man football, Coach, you don't always see these low-scoring games. A lot of times they're like those track meets. And so for you guys to go out there week one, obviously score a touchdown and keep them out of the end zone, man, that's really sounds like a good thing for the Snowbirds to hang their hat on.
The old adage is true. If you can hang your hat on defense, you'll be successful. Offense always tends to be the slowest developmental, as far as I'm concerned. Trying to get those wheels going and timings and mesh points and all those things, and stuff you work on in the summer, but you work on them versus air, and air can't necessarily beat you. So
you hope they don't. You hope the
you
air's
hope
not winning the game.
Air beats you better throw it out of the playbook. So. But, I think all things considered, I think our offense is, we were very stubborn on offense. We could have done some more things, but we were really stubborn. But, we stayed on our path, which is very difficult for me to do. We controlled the line of scrimmage. We controlled the time clock. We held them to 4 plays in the third quarter.
Wow.
And if you can keep their offense off the field and, give them 10 to 12 plays per quarter, your chance of victory is, exponentially huge. So,
yes.
Although we didn't punch it in, we were in the red zone 3 times. We fumbled once. We didn't punch it in. Our offense did their job, and our defense did an outstanding job.
Yeah.
Well, especially in a defensive game like that, and if you've got a lead already, obviously you'd like to score the points, but keeping them down if you fumble the ball in the red zone, you've still got outstanding field position, and that can be helpful. You know what I'm saying, Coach?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. And we did fumble, and we gave them. If I remember correctly, I think we gave them. They got in the red zone twice. One was on a fumble, or two. One was on loss of downs, and the other one was on a fumble. And our defense just did an outstanding job. Not letting them in.
Yeah.
They played very disciplined, which is very difficult to say week one because 16-year-old boys are not disciplined. They're just scatterbrained. It's week one. They're juiced. They're flying off the, their heads are elsewhere. They're playing offense. They're playing defense. They're playing special teams. These kids don't know what down it is. Is it 3rd and 14? Is it 1st and 2nd? They don't know the difference. I mean, they're 17-year-old kids, but for them to have the kind of awareness of where we're at and to have that discipline to lock it back in and trust your key was huge for us.
Maybe the long bus ride was actually a help in that matter.
I don't know. I was sleeping 2/3 of it, so I'm not really sure what the feeling was.
But, you earned your visit to Clyde's, so that's always good.
It is good.
It'll be a return trip.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Just like what we were talking about with Coach Jarsfer.
Yeah.
Okay, if we're down in Frankenmuth and we win, we get chicken.
That's
okay,
right.
so if we win, we get Clyde's.
Yeah.
If not, well.
Go to get the big C, baby.
That's right.
Yeah, hey, with certain pockets of the state, you got to know the good foods in those areas, man. That's important. Great motivator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not kidding. We always like to stop at the Pixie in Mount Pleasant after a scrimmage, so we always have our spots.
Yes. Now, Kevin, I know it's only one game. Your familiar conference, of course, the Ski Valley League. Is it the usual cast of characters looking at what Inland Lakes did, and they're going to be tough again this year?
Yeah, I think a lot of the other Ski Valley teams are going to be down comparatively so. When I say down, I mean not competitive-wise, but when you compare them to I-Lakes, who should have won a state title last year,
right,
probably geared to make another return because they return 90% of their team. They're big, they're strong, they're fast, they're disciplined. When you compare yourself to the elite within the conference, and quite honestly, where they put themselves last year, the elite in the state, everybody in the conference kind of fails in comparison to that. So to say that game isn't circled week 9, I'd be lying. So, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be a nice conference, but everybody in the conference knows that it goes through our lakes.
Right.
Yeah.
Coach, what are the numbers like? I know you and I were talking a couple weeks ago. Unfortunately, you lost one of your better players in preseason with a car accident and a neck injury. But how's the health and how many numbers you got going for the 8-man team this year?
Not bad. We have we're at 30 in the program, 30 or 31. You're about 17, 14 JV varsity.
Okay.
We lost Lucas early on in June. He got in a car accident, and then a couple weeks ago we lost Ty Beschlag to a knee injury, third play in a scrimmage, which
sucks.
I mean, it hurts. It hurts a lot of things. I feel awful for the kid because he's just worked his tail off.
Yes.
But it does kind of cast a shadow because the kid is a freaking stud. And, when you lose a stud, it kind of ripples effect to everybody else.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, how do we replace this stud?
Right.
And we've done an outstanding job, but trying to deal with that ripple effect, I mean, he didn't die, but, when you lose him for a season, there's still that mourning stage. So it's difficult, but we're going to be okay. We have the great opportunity to develop some younger kids to fill in. Now, are they going to be as good? No. But can they be sustainable and develop and be really good? Yeah, that is the hope by week 9, week 10, and week 11.
Yeah. Coach, you your first home game is next week against against holy cow.
Central Lake.
Yeah, sorry, I had it right here, Coach. But you guys, what are you expecting for there? And it's good to be back home again at that relatively new stadium.
Oh, it's going to be great. The field is in outstanding shape. So it's actually going to be a huge weekend, too, because at 5 o'clock, Sacred Heart comes up and plays Engadine. And then we'll play the following game against Central Lake.
Huh.
And then the following day at 1 o'clock, Newberry comes down and Climax Scott comes up to play in a huge game at 1 o'clock. So it's kind of a triple header at our field. So, but regarding Central Lake, week 1 they got thumped pretty good by Marion, and
they did.
Marion's legit. So it's hard to gauge. I know Central Lake lost 3 of the 4 best athletes probably in our conference. They were just very, very, very good athletes across the board. I mean, in all sports, football, basketball, baseball, even in conference play, those names that hold through all 3 sports and they kind of lost. So I think they're well coached, but it's hard to gauge. When you get thumped week 1, how are they going to come out? Are they going to come out mean and nasty, or are they going to come out licking their wounds? And I don't know. I think they'll bounce back and give us a great game.
Yeah. All right, Kevin, thanks for joining us on the Scoreboard Show this morning. Always gracious with your time, and we'll definitely get caught up with you.
He's got nothing to do. What do you mean gracious with his time? Come on, give me a break. It's either that or, run errands for his beautiful wife.
There you go.
You've been waiting to say that one all morning, Jerry. Appreciate that one.
I wrote it down, Coach.
Keep throwing the jabs, baby.
That's right.
That's all I got is a jab, Coach.
All right, Kevin, best of luck next week against Central Lake.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Rich. Thanks, Jerry.
All right. See you, bud.
Bye-bye, Coach.
All right, Kevin O'Connell. You and I both, we've known him for a long time.
One of my favorites. What can we say,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We can't be partial, but we are.
Yeah. We love Kevin for sure. Yeah, great guy. All right. We'll have more back here on the Sarah Ford Scoreboard Show. You're listening to it on Up North Sports Radio.
Have you stopped by Sarah Automotive in Gaylord or Kalkaska lately? If not, you're missing out on the lowest lease payments of the year on many of your favorite Ford vehicles. And at Sarah Gaylord and Kalkaska, besides a great selection of new Fords, you'll find pre-owned inventory stocked with certified Fords and a wide array of trucks and SUVs in every price range. Visit Sarah Gaylord and Sarah Kalkaska for sales, service, parts, or just a friendly conversation. They'll be delighted to help you. They guarantee it.
There are a lot of things out there going viral. Dance challenges, health hacks, pet videos. but you can help keep your immune system from going viral and help protect it from the COVID-19 virus by getting the vaccine. The world has enough going viral these days. Talk to your healthcare provider about getting the COVID-19 vaccine. Sponsored by the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services and the Michigan Association of Broadcasters.
You asked for it. We delivered.
Yeah.
Friday, November 15th, Collective Soul returns to Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. The 30th anniversary tour with special guest Hinder. Tickets for Collective Soul start at $39 and are on sale now at the box office and online at etix.com. Collective Soul and Hinder. Friday, November 15th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort.
Who knew? Fresh air is a destination, a place to breathe in the lapping waves of Torch Lake and explore the tree-lined trails of northern Michigan. A place to connect with nature and each other, one-on-one, in the waves, woods, and wonder of Bel Air. When you're looking to escape the everyday, breathe in the magic of northern Michigan at Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
Welcome back to the Northern Michigan Scoreboard Show, brought to you by Sarah Ford of Kalkaska and Gaylord. Rich Calkins, Sherry Coyne in studio with you. We're going to have a recorded interview right now with head coach of Traverse City West, James Wagner, coming off that 6-0 win against
Gaylord?
Gaylord. Thank you.
You were there.
I was there. Welcome to the Source Julian postgame show. Rich Calkins joined alongside head coach of TC West, James Wagner. Coach, a defensive battle all night long, and West comes out with a big 6-0 win.
Yeah, it was a fight. It was a fight all the way through, and just so proud of my guys and my coaches. I mean, week one, you just have no idea what's going to happen. I mean, it's the first time these kids are getting out there. Some of it's the first varsity game. It's going to be sloppy. It's going to be just all these different things can happen. I mean, you just don't know, and you got to persevere, and you got to find a way. And that's really what we talked about going into it was find a way. It doesn't matter how it gets done. You got to find a way. And then you create, the biggest jumps happen from scrimmage to week one to week two. And there's just so many things that you can fix and see on tape. And now you have you can have live film with it to understand and see plays come to life and then fix the mistakes. So, find a way, and we did, and just so proud. And, having a 0 up on the board, it always makes me happy.
Yeah, it was a great job. Really noticeable coming out. You get to the kickoff to start the second half. The offensive line really coming off the ball in that first drive. It was noticeable. Big holes were being opened up, and you were able to get a sustained drive. Didn't get any points out of it, but it really had to give you some momentum going in, knowing we can block these guys.
Well, yeah, in a game that's so tight like this, and it's, a one-score tie game, field position matters, and whether or not you score or not. Being where you're at in the field, and that all matters. And special teams play a huge role in games like this. And so, Drew getting the punt off at the end there and having it bounce.
Punt.
What a we got it off and it rolled, and so it rolled in our favor. And found a way, right? So.
They took that penalty prior to that purposely to push you back even further.
Well,
instead of giving you a 4th down and short, they said move them back because we want to keep them there and hopefully get great field position.
And it's smart on them. They're trying to push us back to put pressure on our kids. Backed up situation, 1-score ball game, they're going to sell out and go for the block. Our guys got the job done, and Drew got the punt off and got it balanced in our favor. And defense stepped up, and Drew got a pick to solidify it. Reminded me of that pick he had against Central a little bit from last year. Big time players step up in big time moments. So Drew's a big time player, and when the ball's in his hands, I always feel pretty good.
Yeah, Owen Hendricks with a 5-yard run to punch in the only score of the game.
Yeah,
huge run by him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just got a confidence about himself and swagger about himself, and I felt so comfortable just being able to call his number all night long when we needed to in the run game, and just simply being able to give him that opportunity. He deserved it, and I just trusted him in that moment to get the job done. He's a tough kid to tackle. He's slippery at times, and he finds ways to get out of things. And I think he broke a tackle there through his legs, and finished all the way through the goal line there, which, first score, that first touchdown's always tough, I tell you. So glad we got it, and it was the difference in the ball game.
Yeah, like Coach, you mentioned defensively, you put a 0 on the score. Even though they were deep in Titan territory a couple different times, the defense just tightened up and just didn't allow them to get into the end zone.
Tightened up, play on words there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, excuse the pun.
Yeah, right. No, but, defense, gosh, stout. D-line played really, really well. Dumont played really, really well. Our inside back is Braden Popa. Man, he's a kid that just makes plays. It's awesome to watch.
Yeah,
him.
he played a very good game for sure.
It's just our D-line stepped up in a lot of ways too. And so, I just stout and strong defensively. I didn't make too many, changes in our game plan defensively. We simply kept on attacking and kept on doing our base things in order to have success and found a way.
Right. Yeah. Congratulations on the win. This is the time of the segment where we choose the players of the game. Sure. JJ and I talked about it. The Fox Motors motivated player of the game. We gave it to lineman Roman Lesk.
Yeah, Roman. He's one of those kids that it makes a lot of sense. He's a strong, stout kid. He makes really, really good plays defensively and offensively. He's our best lineman. Him and Bodie are just the most experienced in there, and they get the job done. And but Roman's a force on defense, and he just makes plays, and he's tough. He's tough to block. So, that's a well-deserved pick right there.
Yeah, and the Jimmy John's MVP is your choice, and you went with?
Yeah, I had to go with Owen Hendricks. Just a guy that obviously got the touchdown. He honestly, when we needed a play, we called his number, and he took some hard hits in there. His helmet got popped off a couple times, and just showed his toughness. Yeah. And that's where our team's going to have to be moving forward, is just tough. And he's a leader. He's got some swagger about himself, and he's just a kid that is going to quietly get better and better each week. And I'm just super proud of him for the commitment that he's had all the way through this year, leading up to this year, and he definitely showed that tonight. So super proud of him. A lot of work to do, but these guys deserve to win. So.
Right, and Owen's parents are the parents of the game.
Yeah, Dave and Lisa. Yep. Dave and Lisa, yep. Great people, so we'll get them what they need.
Yeah, exactly. Well, congratulations, Coach. Looking forward to your practices this week, and then looking to talk to you next week during our pregame show, getting ready for Grand Haven.
Yeah, getting ready for Grand Haven, and just looking forward. They're going to be a tough team. This is the second year for their head coach. They've got some really good athletes down there, some guys that are getting recruited pretty heavily, and it's going to be a tough battle for us. Different style of game, a little bit more spread look. So our defensive attack is going to be different, but we'll see what it brings. But I just quickly want to shout out. I want to dedicate this win to get choked up here, but dedicate it to my Uncle Bob who passed away. He was a big fan, and just being able to dedicate to him, just miss him, and I know he's watching. So
yeah,
Uncle Bob, love you.
Absolutely, Coach. Well, Coach James Wagner, congratulations on getting the first win here in 2024. Great way to start the season. Looking forward to next week.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
All right,
as always,
you bet.
Go Titans!
Rich, we didn't really talk about it too much yesterday on the Friday Faceoff show, but briefly, what were your thoughts of the team? What kind of projection do you have for this TC West team?
It's good to have a returning quarterback with Owen Hendricks, real athletic kid. Had to scramble around quite a bit. We weren't able, especially in the first half, to sustain a decent running game. But like I mentioned in the interview, noticeable difference of the offensive
Yeah, they
line.
changed the blocking scheme,
and it worked out much better.
Gaylord's got a really good linebacker. They figured out to start double teaming him. We know the young man very well.
We do.
But they have a tough schedule.
Yes.
And they're they got a hole in their defense.
Yeah, they do. Exactly. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting and continued growth year. It's so hard in one game to try to prognosticate when you have so many kids in new positions, and that's exactly what they have.
Who do they got?
Going to Grand Haven.
That's right.
Down on the shores of Lake Michigan for the Coast Guard Cup.
Yeah, is that a Thursday or Friday
That's
game?
a Friday game.
Okay, thank
So we're
God,
back to all Fridays now.
Okay.
Yeah, that is
because there's still a lot of teams that are playing next Thursday.
Yes, they are. And I'm surprised after the holiday weekend.
Now that happened. I don't know why that. Well, like we were talking to James Cook Officials are getting less and less, so they're playing games Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, not because they want to,
right?
But out of necessity. Yeah.
Yes, they are. And we had played 2 games prior to Labor Day weekend, when Labor Day weekend was a little later.
Yeah.
So we had done that Thursday start before. But again, I thought most everyone would go to Fridays again. But like you said, because of the lack of officials, you do what you do. You have to do. You got to have them officiate the games.
We didn't mention. We should mention very briefly the other team that we broadcast, the Grayling Vikings on 100.3. Had a tough go of it against a really good Clare team.
Yeah, they did. Clare won that game 51-7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have Eric Tunney on the shows this year for sure.
Yep.
It sounds like a little bit of rebuild mode for them.
We lost a lot of athletes on that football team this
did.
past year. So
yes, a lot of kids that played football and basketball, and we're very familiar with a lot of those kids. So so it's going to be a growing season for Grayling. It looks like for sure.
Yeah.
But like you said, Clare's a very good team, very very well coached, very good team, and. They're usually towards the top. Gladwin towards the top of that Jack Pine Conference.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But great to have the season back off and cooking. And we will be back here next week.
Yeah, we will, right at 10 o'clock. Thanks for joining us today on Up North Sports Radio. You've been listening to the Northern Michigan Scoreboard Show, brought to you by Sarah Ford of Kalkaska.
Detroit Tiger Baseball at 6:40 tonight right here with Tarek Skubal pitching.
Go Scooby.